Hello and welcome to the Process Improvement Project presentation. My name is Heather Cannell and I will be leading this presentation for you today. Thank you for joining me. Our focus today is supply chain. As we know in our organization, we have been on a process improvement journey. Supply chain management operates on multiple levels in our organization. We have it system-wide, within our networks, hospitals or clinics within the network, and also down to the department level. As you are aware, our organization system-wide has been undergoing process improvement changes in our supply chain management to decrease waste, create standardization to work towards meeting our mission, vision, and values of creating sustainability, good stewardship, and by doing so, reducing costs and variation across the system. One way this has been accomplished so far is to streamline and limit the type and number of office supplies that we can order. Before, the sky was the limit. This strategy has been effective and we have experienced significant cost savings as a result. I believe that we can further sustain cost savings by ensuring that we have lean processes at the department level. So just as the system is standardized, so too can the process among our departments in our hospital setting. And let's talk a little bit more about office supplies. We all know they are necessary tools that we use each day in our job. What would happen if we ran out of pens? Or worse, there is no copy paper, because we all know we print a lot of things. What if we have too much of a supply and not enough of another? We assume that there's a standardized process for ordering supplies in the department. As we have just identified, we are all users of office supplies and have a vested interest in ensuring that we have access to them when we need them. So you ask, who would be the stakeholders in this process? Well, that would be you. Embarking on this process improvement project, key stakeholders at the department level would include the director, whose interest is in budgetary control, the manager and assistant manager who wants to ensure supplies are available at all times for the team and within budget constraints, the unit secretary who will be responsible for checking the inventory levels and ordering supplies when the process is set in place. The manager will hand that back off to them. And the nurse team leaders, the floor nurses, and the CNAs are all users of a majority of the office supplies. So for those stakeholders, they want to have the ease of knowing that there's a process in place and that every time they go to get a pen or a sticky note or paper, it's going to be there. So from our conversations so far in this presentation, we have identified we have a process problem. And what that problem is there is no standardized workflow for the ordering and monitoring of office supplies in the department. This was discovered when I, the manager, assumed responsibility of ordering office supplies. It was determined that there was a need to develop this standardized process because there isn't one. When reviewing the current state and asking the question why several times, it came down to the lack of a standardized workflow. When brainstorming and looking at mapping out what the process kind of looks like, identified there's some key things about why. Why don't we have a standardized workflow? One, we have no master inventory list. We don't have any established par levels, no ordering schedule. Office supplies are in various locations on the unit. We're overstocked on some items, such as transparent tape and Sharpies, and we have shortages on others. And things like ballpoint pens, expo pens, sticky notes, those are things we use at high frequency. So we really need to make sure we have an adequate par level for those. We need to propose a solution. So simply put, the solution for us in this department is to develop a process which is currently lacking and develop it to meet organizational goals in a way that makes sense operationally for us at the department level to achieve that. So one of the things that we want to do is utilize lean production thinking to develop that process. We want to eliminate waste, non-value added activities, increase monitoring of our inventory, and at the same time generate cost savings. One of the ways we can do this, as many of you have seen in other projects we have done, is value stream mapping. This way we can really take that time to evaluate what is the current state and what is the desired future state for the process improvement project. And additionally, once we develop this, what we want to do is have continued monitoring post-implementation for us to be able to reassess, did this process work? Do we need to change it? And if so, let's make some revisions and then reassess it again at a later time. So for this project, we do need to establish what is the timeline. So the goal is to have project kickoff, which will start July 1st, and have project completion by August 31st. Being a smaller project, we anticipate that this should be able to be completed within a 2-month period of time. Some of the key tasks or steps that have been identified include things like making a master department inventory list, creating an official departmental document with workflow instructions, ensuring that we get user access for the unit secretary who will be taking over the ordering role from the manager for our supply chain vendors. We need to move office supplies into a central location so we can actually accurately inventory them, develop par levels, determine what kind of schedule or frequency do we do the inventory and place orders for supplies. After those things have been completed, then we need to set up a time with the manager and the unit secretary to do some training, hand off the information so the unit secretary can now assume the responsibility and role of being in charge of ordering office supplies and monitoring the inventory. Also, we want to have the unit secretary use the new workflow to do the inventory and ordering of office supplies by the 22nd of August. That way there can be a little review period before the 31st of August, and we can determine if there's any immediate changes or revisions that we need to have with the workflow process and get those corrected and then move forward. And of course, there will be ongoing after the official closing date because we want to ensure that we still have a good process in place. And those will be a little more detailed in the memo that will come out. An important part of the project kickoff is a communication plan. So when those of you that are here in the presentation are getting this information, also for all the key stakeholders identified within the department, we will provide a written memo identifying we are doing this project, the reasons why. Also, for individuals that are going to be more involved in this process, we are going to provide them with a detailed written communication, probably by email, about what we would like them to do to participate and help with the implementation and rollout. Also, on Mondays, we will provide a weekly update status to the entire stakeholder team just so they know where we are with the process. Also importantly is to just have some of those face-to-face, one-to-one discussions between the project manager, which will be the manager, and the key stakeholders to ensure that participation expectations and deadlines are clear, address any questions or concerns, so everybody involved in the project is on the same page and we're able to move forward effectively. In conclusion, our goal is to create a value-added workflow to effectively manage the supply chain when it comes to office supplies at the department level. Clear workflows, a solid process, and having the right people do the right work will enhance our job satisfaction by having employees engaged in the value-added activities. So really, instead of our problem statement, what we want to have is our success statement, which would be, we will have a standardized workflow process for the ordering and monitoring of supplies in the department. Our goal is with successful completion of this project, we would like to invite other departments to adopt our process so together we can all work together to meet our organizational goals. We look forward to collaboration and support from you on this project, and we are excited to get this rolling. Does anybody have any questions? Nope, I've answered all of them. Wonderful. Thank you again for your time, and I look forward to working with you and as soon as possible to get this thing rolling.